What are you doing? What are you doing inspiring and amazing these days?
I'm running 5 30-minute Ks. I did on Tuesday night. I ran 27:30 for 5 Ks.
That's a good haul. When's the last time you did that?
Like before I met you.
Okay.
So that's good.
That is
Let's
good.
talk about you, Jeff, and
No,
what
this
you've
is-
done for me.
No, this isn't about that. This is about the amazing and awesome things that you're able to do. That's all.
Well, I think certainly since I've met you and what's transpired since then, but I think my daily routine and my habits is what's helped me get to where I am now. And those are, it's all the same things as what you do. It's like it's all around exercise, it's all around thinking positively and all these things that you have up here to inspire people to keep living a full life.
Okay, so what is your daily routine then look like?
So can I just talk about, I wrote something the other day. My biggest fear is that I won't live into my full self, my full abilities. So I think my daily routine and my persistence around that comes from a scarcity place, that unless I sort of set everything up in my life, like all the areas up in my life, and be conscious about those and working on those, that I won't be able to fully realise what I've got inside of me. So that's my drive, that's my why.
So it's actually, would it be fair to say that you, even though it's something that may be fear-based, you're finding a way of using that to be more creative, more constructive, rather than letting it paralyze you from doing anything?
Yeah, I think so. And I've only just realised that. I joined a group the other day and they said, tell us a little bit about you. And I just vomited a whole bunch of stuff up. And I think for the first time I realised my motivation for that. And my other motivation is to help. Like, I think we're also bashed into what we think we should be. And I want to be the living embodiment of that we don't have to be like that, and to be able to show other people that they don't have to be like that either. But I'm scared too.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, isn't that, what's her name? Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Power of Vulnerability. I think she had a something, there's a difference between, I forget what it is, being vulnerable and then being afraid. That there is a difference, because one, it's the same emotion, but one causes you to step backwards, and the other, it's the same emotion, but you still step forwards anyway.
So it's like that fight or flight thing.
It's a part of the fight or flight, yes.
Yeah. So I think just because I have a lot of Sam in me, so if you consider what I...
Who's Sam? Sam. Who's Sam?
Sambo, my boy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Oh, Sam, my son. So I was Sam, believe it or not. So
at least that answers a question. We wondered that. It's like, where in the world did he get this? It's like, what did his mother teach him something? Did his mother not teach him
so
something?
Ian is
okay.
like, his dad is a very, like, he always said that he wanted to be an accountant. So he is that sort of personality. So yeah, and I think when I look at Sam and see him become fully expressed in the things that he's doing, I think, like, this is me fast forward 30 years, and I've kind of gone through ups and downs, but like, certainly I don't feel like I'm fully expressed. I've sort of gone back in a little bit and been that chameleon to fit in and to be, I guess, accepted by society of, by the normal, I guess, meaning around that. So I fit in, I suppose.
So you've gone back into that?
Gone back into complying to the normal rules.
Okay. That's interesting. If I can ask you then, do you feel that actually takes you towards or away from the full embodiment?
Away from that.
So why would you go back into that?
So I feel like I've stepped away from it and become a chameleon to fit in more. So when I'm working in, corporate jobs, or when I'm trying to fit into society, because I always feel like I don't fit, which is a good thing. I've always welcomed that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't fit, you're always feeling like you're fighting against that. So I think certainly the awareness of that is really good, because now I can start really embodying, you know, that, I guess, embodying who I am, and to be able to step into that more.
Okay, so just so that I know I've got that straight there. So you can use the skill where you can fit in, but then in the fitting in space, then is where it's like, okay, you can be creative and do your kind of thing, instead of being, you know, just, you know, completely off in la la land, if you would, where it's like, okay, nothing's happening, versus being completely part of the machine. Okay, you're finding a way, okay, this is how I can be working in the machine, but be able to create that.
Which creates an exciting life, because I feel like everyone thinks that they're stuck, right? If they're in a job or they're in a business, like the business is ruling what they do day to day, and they feel stuck and they're not making enough money. Or if you're in a boring job that's just not satisfying, there's always some sort of hope for you to be able to allow that as a vehicle to get your outcome.
So this is something also then that drives you, being able to help other people find that in them,
to see the brightness of future in whatever situation you're in. So it's never that bad that you can't find some sort of brightness of future within that. And I think if you construct your days in such a way that, you know, you line up all your ducks, I call it stacking the odds in your favor. So the first thing is fitness. Like, you know, my top priority or value is fitness and health. And it always has been. That's why when I first came to see you and my health was just in the toilet, I was so overwhelmed, because I was doing hill repeats and going side to side because I was so dizzy from having many years. So that is the number one value. I think if you've got your health, you can do anything for as long as you want. I've got a goal of running a marathon when I'm 80, because that'll keep me accountable for the next 30 years to run. And then, you know, and all the other things that, you know, just to fully embrace and embody relationships. So if something's not working, figure out why and put your finger in and wiggle that around with all your relationships, I think.
Okay. So what would you then say to somebody who is in the middle of, say, a struggle right now? So it's always, for any and all, at least me, I'll say this personally, is I believe that we keep going to the next struggle. So we can look at people and say, wow, they must have no challenges, no issues in their life. Reality is they probably do. They're just different, and they're happening at a different level now, and we don't always see that. So nevertheless, the struggle always is easier once you're able to know, oh, this is how I overcame it. So what would be something then where you'd be able to help or say to somebody if they are in the middle of the struggle? So you could say, you know, always, you know, look at the things to be grateful for, look at things to be positive of, but if they're stuck in that bad space, that sometimes can be really hard. What would you say for that person?
I think it comes from your frame of reference, because I think I read a thing a few years ago that the reason people are putting themselves into these crazy, you know, mad mudder type situations or marathons or whatever is that when we don't have like real struggles anymore, and the struggle is actually the boredom of the day to day and the predictability of that. So it's having something to shake us up, like doing a marathon. I guess to stretch us to, I don't know. I think for my upbringing is what's given me that frame of reference. So I mean, I grew up in the middle of nowhere without electricity and hot running water, and we worked all the time. So that was my frame of reference as this is life. And now we live in beautiful Queensland where it rains all the time, and we live in a gorgeous air-conditioned house with electricity. It's like, it can't get any worse.
So sometimes it's the perception of what struggle and what challenge actually is. But then, as you're saying, sometimes if you're feeling you're in that space, it's because you're actually not accepting a challenge that is worthy of you.
I think we just get too comfortable with what we think we deserve, and we're always just wanting. I think that's what Pierre, my partner's taught me. It's like, you know, you can be really happy with really little. Like, you don't need much to be happy. I mean, for me, if I've got a nice running track and happy, positive friends, like, and good food, I don't know. I just kind of see that as, I don't know. And I've been through an evolution with this too, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm an entrepreneur and I want, you know, I want to grow businesses and all that sort of stuff. And I used to think it was for the money, but it's actually not. It's for the game of it and for the fun of it, and obviously to build a security base. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need much to make us happy. And I think it's the filter in which we look through life that actually makes us happy or not.
So the definition, so maybe not, okay, how we define struggle or challenge, but maybe the fundamental question, what makes you happy? Do you think most people could actually answer that question? If you were to ask them, you know, point blank, what makes you, I'm not asking you. Do you think that most people could actually answer that question? What makes you happy?
Yeah.
I think everybody can list all the things that, you know, are not right or they want better, a sense of comparison, all this sort of stuff. But okay, what actually makes you happy? Acai bowl.
Yeah,
Acai bowl.
Yeah, you know me well. Yeah, I don't know. And again, you know, Pierre, my partner, has told me so that he is a bicycle tourer, and what makes him just over the moon happy is a bicycle tour for 10 weeks. When he went to South America, he talks about it all the time. The freedom that it gives him, the headspace it gives him to be able to think about just life and the beauty of nature and meeting people, and it's all the, and it sounds so cliche, but it's all the little things. And I think we forget that connection and nature and all of those things is what it's all about. Like, it's the relationships and the simplicity that makes it good.
So in your opinion here, how might you recommend for people to be able to discover that in for themselves?
I think it's got to come from a foundation of what I said before. It's got to come from a foundation of health. You've got to move your body to feel good. Like, if
what about people who hate exercise? People who look like the two of us and think, "You guys run. You guys are stupid." What about that?
Yeah.
Because you do have to be a little crazy, but when you get into it, then you do. But you got to be a little crazy to start.
I agree with that, and I agree that I was not a runner at all. Like, I ran behind sheep growing up, and that was it. That was exercise for an outcome, and I think that's what's so beautiful about running outdoors, is because exercise outside to me makes sense, because you get, it's nature and stuff. Treadmills, I just can't exercise in a room because it makes no sense to me. I think as long as you're moving your body, it doesn't have to be running, as long as you're moving your body 4 to 5 times a week for an hour, something, I think that's really, really important. And it's, you know, it can be swimming, it can be walking, it can be whatever it is. And I think changing that up is really important. I think the important thing is to be doing something every week, regularly and religiously. The other thing I think is eating good food. Like, I think that's really important. And, you know, however you define that, whether you're vegetarian or whatever, but I think eating good food is really important. Drinking at least 2 to 2.5 litres of water a day is like imperative for me. It's just a routine that I've got myself in. So I think, and being around good people. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that are not good, and I think we know that intuitively, if they're not good for us, is to not be around them. If they don't make you feel good, or if it doesn't feel right. I sat in a room a few years ago, and a question was asked of this particular person. He said, "What would you change? Now that you know, what would you have changed?" I think the question was, knowing what you know now, what would you have changed? And I said, I would have got divorced a lot earlier. And I reckon, there's about 20 people in the room, and I reckon most of the people in there went, yeah, so would we. And I think what we do is hold on to things and situations that we keep trying. It's not working. It's obvious that it's not working. So changing that up, being willing to step out of something that is familiar and that we think that we should be doing because it's the right thing to do. Because a lot of the times maybe it's not the right thing to do. Maybe changing it up. I mean, definitely for me, it's opened up my whole world. Finding Pierre and being with somebody that I'm really compatible with. And I still get along with my ex-husband, so we were probably more good friends than we were lovers.
So yeah, so the relationship dynamic changed, and then in that space, both of you then would have been able to grow, where you actually can have appreciation for each other in that new role capacity. Is there anything as far as for people to take that initial first step, because that's usually the first and the scariest one, as you know, if there's change, and even if you know intuitively that it's got to happen, taking that first step can be very terrifying. Because you're changing the devil that you know into the devil you don't. So there's no longer control in change space. So is there